This is from the Times of Israel. Biden's remark, very disappointing. Jews now hesitant to vote Democrat, says Israel's UN envoy. Speaking to Con Public Radio, he says, of course, any pressure on Israel is interpreted by our enemies as something that gives them hope. There are many Jewish Americans who voted for the president and for the Democratic Party, and now they are hesitant. And he is not wrong. There's this post right here, a response to Jonah Goldberg, who said, for what it's worth, I heard a lot of reliably anti-Trump people, I mean really, really anti-Trump people, who have had it with Biden tonight. Anecdotal, to be sure, but very telling in my circle.
Yep.
At Ted Frank, there's a guy on Twitter, director of litigation at Hamlin C. Law, fighting for free speech, and he actually gave himself it's called the Echoes, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is, for those unfamiliar, the 3 parentheses is something that Jewish people do. They're taking back.
Yeah.
There was, I guess, someone can correct me if I'm wrong. Anti-Semites would put 3 brackets around someone's name.
They would say them, and they would triple bracket
Them or
that
they,
meant Jews.
So he's basically saying, I'm Jewish. He said, I'm one. Protested and didn't vote for Trump in 2016 and turned down offers to join campaign and administration. Split ticket for Biden in 2020. Now ready to vote Trump in 2024 on Bill Barr grounds.
That's, look, man, he is just smashing stereotypes because he turned down a lot of money to not join the Trump campaign. Like that, those are really, really lucrative jobs. Like, sincerely.
And he has more. He says, and yesterday I told someone I wasn't going to vote for Trump. I was wrong. The Biden administration has to be stopped. And then he says, someone responded, didn't vote for Trump in 2016, voted Trump in 2020 based on a decent record, wanted Trump impeached and wasn't planning for 2024, now voting Trump in 2024. He says, left that out myself. I supported the 2021 impeachment, though I disagree with the Georgia and DDC prosecutions. Look, there's going to be a lot of people who are going to very anti-Israel, and they're going to be like, oh, see, now they're rallying behind Trump. Well, pick your poison, I guess. Do you want Joe Biden or do you want Donald Trump? A lot of these people that I get asked, they ignored all of the bad things in this country. They ignored Black Lives Matter, the race riots. They ignored the cancel culture. And now we're supposed to defend them. And my response is always, yeah, of course. Like Michael Rappaport makes 1,000,001 anti-Trump videos and everyone makes fun of him for it. All it takes is for him to make one video of him being like, I was wrong, I'm voting for Trump. And I'm like, thank you, sir. There's a post, right? There was a DeSantis guy. I love the account Defiant L's. You ever see Defiant L's? Yeah. Shouted him out before. He shouted us out for shouting him out. But it's a great account, but he gets it wrong sometimes. Okay. And one of them was a guy who was a DeSantis supporter saying, F you, I will never vote for Trump. You deserve to lose, blah, blah, blah. And then like a few days later was, I was wrong. I have to vote for Donald Trump. We have to win. And I'm like, that's not an L. That is a win.
That's a win.
That's a huge win. So we shouted this guy out when we saw this in the first place. A guy who was like so sick of the Trump supporters, wanted DeSantis to be the guy, but was willing to say Trump is still the right choice, and I'm going to swallow my pride and publicly announce that I was wrong about what I was saying. Trump has to win. For these people, too, who are Democrats or never Trumpers, who are coming out now saying Israel is my issue, I say, welcome to the fight. I don't care if it's Israel. I don't care if it's BLM. I don't care if it's the border. I don't care if it's inflation. I don't care if it's that Biden sniffs kids. These are all good reasons not to vote for the guy.
Yep.
You say you don't want to vote for Joe Biden. I say, welcome to the party.
The thing that I've noticed a lot on Twitter in the past couple of weeks is a lot of people saying it's Carter 2, Carter 2.0, Jimmy Carter.
Hopefully not Buchanan 2.
Yeah. But I think that's legitimate. Like the economic problems, we haven't had an economic situation in the United States this precarious since Carter. I think it's actually worse than it was in the 70s because of our debt, which is something that I've gone on and on about here multiple times. If you are seriously an America First person, the most important thing is the unfunded liabilities, because that will destroy the economy and destroy the country. So if you're America First, don't worry about whether, how much money is being sent to Israel, because those are literal pennies compared to the $1 trillion that we pay per year just to service the debt that we owe, and that is only going to increase. This will destroy destroy our economy and it will destroy the country. That is the most America first position you can have, is to fix our unfunded liabilities. And everything else is secondary after that.
Well, what's your position on that? You Trump?
Yeah, I'm pro-Trump. I served on Catholic for Trump in the last election, so I traveled around and
cool.
I opened one of his things with a prayer, and so yeah, I was very much. But I personally,
Joe Biden's Catholic, right?
How much
In
time?
name only, I think.
How much time?
Yeah, he's a Catholic in name only.
Yeah, I mean, in a way, I'm a little bit disillusioned about Trump. I haven't really talked about it on my channel, but I'm a little bit disillusioned. Obviously, I think Trump is the better vote than Biden for moral issues and especially economic, as you're talking about. But I'm not so sure. These are interesting tweets, but I'm not so sure that these people are going to outnumber all the young people and all the Gen Z people who are so anti-Israel. I feel like that is a really growing, strong movement compared to some boomers saying, "Wait, Israel?
Money talks.
Yeah, that's a good point.
There are,
Yeah.
it's about 30% of Gen Z is what they're saying is the ones who are participating in these protests, who have a really strong stance on the Israel-Hamas-Palestine conflict. And it's interesting because they're sort of divided, right? I referenced this a couple of days ago, but I was listening to a New York Times podcast where they were interviewing young Gen Z activists. Most of them are environmental activists. And there were some who were like, yes, I would vote for Trump. I would, because it's a vote against Biden. It actively hurts him. But there was a portion that, some that said, I'm really angry, but I think ultimately I want a Democrat. And then there was a portion that said, no, I'm just not going to vote at all. And so it's interesting because part of it is, it's a question for Biden of both, keeping supporters that he has and also trying to keep the people who are leaning towards, well, maybe I just will sit this one out to get to the polls. And that's actually a very difficult hill to climb in politics. If someone's not engaged or someone who is like, I don't like either option, I'm just going to stay home, you can't really force them out the door to the ballot, to the polling place. Yeah. So it's interesting because he needs these personalities, these young progressives who are so passionate about the cause, who
activated.
And in another geopolitical climate, they would have been like, no one but Biden, Trump is awful. But now they're looking at him as the evil to their moral cause.
Yeah.
If this is the case, Trump wins. Because you're looking at older Democrats pro-Israel, younger Democrats anti-Israel, and Biden can't have both.
Right.
And if he loses even a tiny fraction of either, he can't beat Trump.
And this is only, the recent stuff. Even before October 7th, there was like a general kind of movement from people in the Black community, in the Hispanic community. People were moving away from Joe Biden. They were not feeling like he was paying attention to their needs, and I think the border had a lot to do with it.
And that's the RFK phenomenon too. Is there was enough space in the room for him to come in and fill that vacuum? And I think just his popularity and his presence just is an indicator that Biden was. And just look at the man. I mean, he's just not competent, despite all this other stuff. So RFK is definitely a sign that he doesn't have the momentum. And this right here is, like you said, it could be fatal for him.
I'd like to believe that, but there's a shadow campaign,
Yeah, I
and
feel
we don't
like
know
there's
which one
some
it is.
COVID thing.
They're
ready to hit the button on it.
It was ballot harvesting in 2020.
Yeah. What is it this time?
Right. And so the fact that, we sit here and we're like, well, for this reason, Trump's going to win. It's like, yeah, but we're talking about winning the argument.
Yeah.
Not winning names on paper. You know what I mean?
I still think that it is mostly about collecting. Now that ballot harvesting is a thing and that it is illegal or that it is legal and something that the Democrats are absolutely going to be doing, it is now a situation where Republicans must. If they do not, they will lose without a question. So they must. It's not an option anymore.
I totally agree. I think Republicans do have to be active. Either if it's ballot harvesting that or just registering voters, getting them to the polls, whatever it is, I think that's, if the midterms told us anything, it was sort of like we thought something great was about to happen. And then there was this stagnation among voters, in my opinion. But I do think it's interesting to return to my previous point that young Democrats tend to be the ones who are leading these get out the vote campaigns, right? They're the ones who are grassroots, doing the DNC's bidding. And if they are really this angry at Biden, even if it's not all of them, it hurts his campaign. It handicaps it in a way that I just don't think the Biden administration or the Biden campaign would have taken seriously, even as late as October or November of last year.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.